Earlier, joining us now with a reaction, he is the original insurgent, author of Nixon's White House Wars, Patrick J. Buchanan. So you work in the Nixon administration, Pat. You work in the Reagan administration. Do you ever see it this bad? The media this abusively biased and corrupt? Or maybe you did. I've never seen it this bad.
Well, first, I thought Sean Spicer was very gracious in his departure. But, Sean, let me tell you, this is as bad as it was in the final days of Watergate with Richard Nixon. The tremendous overt hostility of the press, the media. Many of those press conferences of Nixon were like things in a Roman forum. And I think the real problem here is the president senses that the media are the enemy. And I think the media, undeniably, if you watch all three networks and you watch the major networks and the press, and the media are as hostile to this president as I've seen to any president or candidate in my lifetime.
So what does he do, Pat? I mean, you've been there. You know how hard it is inside that house, and you see the media acting this way. What do you do?
Well, I'll tell you what's coming, and I think the president senses, we see with regard to Mueller and the special counsel, the president senses these folks are coming after him. I believe they are. They're coming after his campaign. I think they're coming after his family. They're coming after him. They've got investigators and prosecutors who are really steeped in white-collar crime and the rest of it. What is going to happen, Sean, is this. Mr. Mueller's going to make demands after demand after demand. He's going to get some of them. And then the president, I believe, is going to say no more, which is what happened in Watergate and the Saturday Night Massacre. I think there's a real collision coming between Mueller and the President of the United States. You can see it
Pat, look at all the conflicts, though. I mean, he hired Hillary Clinton's attorney. He hired all of these donors to Clinton, Obama, and the Democrats. He's best friends with Comey. Comey leaks government information, classified information, to the New York Times to get a special counsel. I mean, these are not normal times here, Pat.
Sean, Archie Cox was a Kennedy man. Teddy Kennedy was at his swearing in. 7 of the first 11 guys he hired were ex-Kennedy McGovern staffers and aides. We knew what that was, and I agree with you. I do think that the special counsel's office is targeting the president. I think they're going to go on and roll over one rock after another until the president says, I've had enough. And then we are right on the road, a familiar one to me, to the Saturday Night Massacre.
Okay, and are you saying that this president could be impeached?
What I'm saying is, I think he's going to have a confrontation with Mueller. However, I don't think the President of the United States, he doesn't have the authority to fire him. The Deputy Attorney General does. He would not do that. The Attorney General's recused himself. I think he can get somebody to fire him if he comes down to that. But let me tell you, during the Saturday Night Massacre, we tried to shut down the special prosecutor's office. And they revived it, and they got Jaworski, a new special prosecutor. I mean, I'm looking at a confrontation here, and unless I'm mistaken, they're going to have something on the president and his family, and he's going to go after Mr. Mueller, and I think you're going to have a real confrontation. As I told you about a week ago, I don't see how this ends well.
Is this all foundationally based on the fact that Attorney General Sessions recused himself? I don't think he should have myself, but I mean, I have great respect for him, but I think that was a mistake.
Let me say this. I admire, respect, and Senator Sessions, I've spoken with him a number of times. I think he's a courageous guy, and he deserved better than his treatment in the New York Times. But I do agree with you on this, Sean. They should never have appointed the special prosecutor. That is a machine that's established, that grows, it's lethal, it tends to become unfriendly, and it comes right at the White House and the West Wing, inevitably. It's happened 3 or 4 times.
But Pat, I've been warning about
the appointment of them by Rosen's. Go ahead.
I've been warning about this investigative creep. I know how you feel about mission creep, but now we've got investigative creep. Look at Patrick Fitzgerald. He starts out, he knew on day one who the leaker was, and he continued investigation, ends 3 years later with Scooter Libby because he wouldn't give up the vice president on a perjury charge. That's where we ended up here. I mean, I tend to agree with you. They tend to overreach. Yeah. All right, Patrick J.
But
Buchanan,
here's the thing,
thank you.
Sean. From their standpoint, they're not overreaching.
From their standpoint, investigative creep, perjury traps, that's not overreaching. Okay. And you know what? Where's the investigation into Hillary? Where's the investigation into the conspiracy with Ukraine, Uranium One, or mishandling and destroying classified documents? We're not, yeah.
Sean, the folks in this town have got the scent of blood in their nostrils, and they're targeted on the West Wing. They don't care about Hillary anymore. If she were president, they would be going after her.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, Pat, but I do think you might be onto something. I think Mueller's a disaster.
It's the nature of the media.
The Mueller and the media, and the Democrats and weak Republicans. There's your problem. Thank you. Here with more reaction to our exclusive interviews with Sean Spicer, Reince Priebus, Ari Fleischer, Judge Jeanine Pirro. Judge, let me get you first to respond to Pat Buchanan, because that is a pretty dire analysis. And I do believe Mueller's already way out there on investigative creep, multiple conflicts of interest. He's hiring Hillary's attorney, Democratic donors, and I don't see one Republican hired.
You know, Sean, if we use the same standards for Robert Mueller that the Attorney General used for himself, Mueller would have recused himself. So Mueller's relationship with Comey, whose credibility he has to assess as opposed to the president's credibility, that relationship immediately prevents him from being objective. And I'm not even talking about all of the attorneys that he's bringing in who are anti-Trump people, pro-Hillary people, pro-Clinton Foundation
right?
people.
Judge,
is
Pat Buchanan right? They've got blood in their nostrils?
Without a doubt. Sean, there is no doubt they have blood in their nostrils. This is all about destroying Donald Trump. It's and his family, his children.
Can they succeed? Can they succeed?
Can they succeed? It depends on who they want to give some, maybe bend the rules a little bit or give someone immunity so that they turn around and go after the president. You can make anything look bad. And Patrick Fitzgerald, he's absolutely right. Patrick Fitzgerald was gunning for somebody, anybody. When he didn't get what he wanted, he turned around and went after other people. There is a mandate for this special prosecutor, and they're beyond it.